Welcome to Prashant IAS. So friends, in the last class, we have completed our discussion with budget. And in this class, we will continue our discussion with a fresh topic. So here on the screen, you can see that the topic of today's class is emergency. So friends, in this class, we will start our discussion with the topic of emergency. So friends, let's begin. Friends, there are three types of emergencies given in the Indian Constitution. So the first type of emergency given in the Constitution of India is called as national emergency. Okay, so what is the first emergency given in the Constitution of India? The first emergency given in the Constitution of India is national emergency. Now friends, after this, the second type of emergency given in the Constitution of India is state emergency. Okay, so what is the second type of emergency given in the Constitution of India? So the second type of emergency given in the Constitution of India is state emergency. Now friends, this state emergency is also known as President's rule. Okay, so in the previous classes many a times I have told you about one concept known as President's rule. So definitely this President's rule is known as state's emergency. So state emergency or President's rule are the same thing. So the second type of emergency is state emergency or President's rule. Now friends, after this, the third and the last type of emergency given in the Constitution of India is financial emergency. Okay, so which is the third type of emergency given in the Constitution of India? So the third and last type of emergency given in the Constitution of India is financial emergency. Now friends, all these three emergencies are given in the Constitution of India, and as here we are studying about the Constitution of India, so now it is our duty to study all these three emergencies in detail. So friends, first of all, we will discuss in detail about the concept of national emergency. So national emergency is the first concept about which we will discuss first of all. Okay, so first of all we will discuss about the concept of national emergency in a very detailed manner. And after the concept of national emergency, then we will discuss about the topics of state emergency and financial emergency. So friends, in today's class we will discuss about the topic of national emergency in detail, and then in the coming classes, means in the next class, we will discuss about the topic of state emergency and financial emergency. So friends, in today's class we will discuss about the topic of national emergency. So now let's begin. Friends, as here we are studying about the Constitution of India, so first of all our duty is to know that where the concept of national emergency is given in the Constitution of India. So the first and most basic question is that in which article of the Indian Constitution national emergency is given. Okay, so what is the first question? So the first question is that under which article of the Indian Constitution the concept of national emergency is given. So friends, the answer of this question is that the concept of national emergency or national emergency is given under Article 352 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so which is that article? That article is Article 352. So now you can tell me that sir, national emergency is given under Article 352 of the Indian Constitution. So now friends, let's move further. Now friends, after this, the next important question is that what is the meaning of national emergency. Okay, so now I will explain you the meaning of national emergency with the help of one example. So friends, let's suppose that this is our country India. Okay, so this is our country India. Okay, now let's suppose that this is any other country. Okay, so I means this is India and this is any other country. Okay, so now what happens that this other country proclaims a war against India. Okay, so this other country has proclaimed that now we will start a war with India. So now President of India has the official information. Okay, so let's suppose he is the President of India. So now the President of India has the official information that this country is going to start a war against India. Now friends, we know that war is not a normal situation. War is an extraordinary condition. War is a emergency condition. And definitely as our entire country is fighting war with this other country. Okay, so as this other country has proclaimed the war against India, so it means the entire India will fight a war with this country. Okay, means there is a emergency condition prevailing in entire nation. There is a emergency condition prevailing in entire country. Okay, so this is the meaning of national emergency. So national emergency basically means when there is a threat to country, when there is a danger to country. So national emergency basically means a situation in which there is some very big danger to country, a situation in which there is some very big threat to country. For example, if this other country has started war against India, so definitely this is a very big danger to India, definitely this is a very big threat to India, and definitely we have to reply this country accordingly. Okay, we have to defend us, we have to attack back on this country in order to save us. Okay, so national emergency basically means that it is an emergency condition prevailing in entire nation. Okay, it is an emergency condition prevailing which can result into a threat to country, which is like a danger to country. Definitely you can see that if this other country will attack on India, then definitely the security of India will be under threat, the security of India will be under danger, the people of India are under danger. Okay, because there is a fear that the army and the people of this country can kill the people of our country. So national emergency basically means that a situation has arisen, a situation has come in which there is some very big danger to our country, in which there is some very big threat to our country. Okay, and now friends, we all know that the government of India is very powerful. Okay, the government of India is very powerful. But what happens in normal situations, what happens in normal conditions, that there are certain restrictions on the powers of government. Okay, for example, we can say that fundamental rights are also a kind of restrictions on the power of government, and there are many other type of restrictions on the power of government. So remember friends, in the beginning classes, in the initial classes, I taught you about the concept of constitutionalism, and in that concept I taught you that there are some restrictions on the power of government, there are some limitations on the power of government. But now an extraordinary situation has arisen, now an emergency condition has come, and this emergency condition can result into a threat to entire country. Okay, so now we know that there is a coming threat to entire India, there is a danger to entire India. So now in this emergency situation, government of India needs much powers, government of India needs more powers than usual to deal with this situation. Why? For example, we know that in this situation, if any other country has proclaimed war against India, so now government of India is compelled to proclaim war against that country. Why? Because if any other country is attacking India, then we cannot sit ideally, we have to reply them, we have to tell them that we are also powerful. Okay, India is very powerful. So now government of India has to proclaim a war against that country, and in order to win that war, in order to win the war against that country, government of India needs to be very powerful. Okay, so government needs some more relaxations, government needs to be more powerful than usual. Definitely we know that government is powerful, but there are some restrictions on the powers of government, there are some restrictions that government cannot do these things. But during the condition of emergency, government should be left free, that you are extremely powerful, do anything and deal with this situation. Okay, so what basically happens during national emergency, that the powers of government increases considerably, government of India becomes very powerful, and government of India having so much of power then deals with the situation and tries to make the situation normal. Okay, so in this situation what government of India will do? In this situation government of India will proclaim a war against that country, then government of India will fight and Indian army will fight a war against that country, and definitely our India will defeat that country, and then the normal situations will be again established in the country. Normal situations will be again restored in the country. Okay, so this is the simple meaning of national emergency. Now friends, after this, next question is that on what grounds, on what basis the national emergency can be proclaimed. Now what does it mean? So it basically means that what are the grounds on the basis of which national emergency can be imposed in the country. What are the grounds on the basis of which national emergency can be imposed or proclaimed in the country. So now I will tell you the grounds on which the national emergency can be imposed. So friends, basically there are three grounds. Okay, and these three grounds can be categorized into two categories. Okay, so now friends, first of all, there can be external reasons. Okay, so there can be external grounds on which the national emergency can be proclaimed, or there can be some internal reasons. Okay, there can be some external reasons, or there can be some internal reasons on the basis of which national emergency can be proclaimed. Okay, now what are the external reasons on the basis of which national emergency can be proclaimed? So there are two types of external reasons on the basis of which national emergency can be proclaimed. The first external ground is war, and the second external ground is external aggression. Okay, so what is first external ground? The first external ground is war, and the second external ground is external aggression. And friends, the internal ground is armed rebellion. Okay, so now we can say that there are two types of grounds on which national emergency can be proclaimed. The first is external grounds or external reasons, and second one is internal ground or internal reasons. Now there is only one internal reason on the basis of which the national emergency can be proclaimed, and that internal reason is armed rebellion. And there are two external reasons on the basis of which national emergency can be proclaimed, and they are war and external aggression. Now friends, what is the meaning of war? So we all know what is the meaning of war. So let's suppose that if this is okay, so let's suppose if this is India. Okay, so this is our country India. Okay, now let's suppose that this is any other country. Okay, this is India and this is any other country. So now let's suppose that this other country has officially proclaimed, this other country has officially announced that now we will fight a war against India. Okay, so what happens in war? That this country has officially proclaimed, this country has made an official statement. Okay, so here the word official statement is highlighted. So what happens? That this country makes an official statement that now we will fight a war with India. Okay, so this country will officially declare a war with India. So what will happen? That when this country will officially declare a war with India, so definitely India will also come to know that now this particular country now wants to fight with India. Okay, so definitely then President of India will also proclaim war against that country. Okay, so now President of India will also proclaim officially that now India is in war against that country. Okay, and then both of these countries will fight, and definitely our country India will win. Okay, now what happens in external aggression? Okay, so this is a most commonly asked doubt amongst students, that what is the meaning of external aggressions. Okay, so now again let's suppose that this is our country India. Okay, this is our country India. Okay, after that let's suppose this is any other country. Okay, so this O means other country. Now let's suppose that this other country has not made any official statement. Okay, this other country has not made any official statement, but what this country did, and this country has not informed India. Okay, so what happened? First thing, that this country has not made any official statement. Secondly, this country has not informed India. What happened? That suddenly what happened? That this country attacked on India. Okay, so without making any official proclamation of war, without officially informing India or international society, this country has suddenly attacked India. Okay, so this is a more worse condition, that we were not informed of war and we were not prepared of war, and this country has suddenly attacked India. Okay, so this condition is known as external aggression. Okay, that this country has attacked India. So this is the meaning of external aggression. Now friends, after this, what is the meaning of armed rebellion? Okay, so now let us discuss about the meaning of armed rebellion. Now friends, we know that there are many people in India, okay, and we all are the citizens of India, okay. Now many a times what can happen that people are not happy with the works of government, and definitely as India is a democracy, so we have the rights to speak against the government. For example, I told you about Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause A of the Indian Constitution, which gives all of us the freedom of speech and expression, that we can freely express our views, we can freely express what we are thinking. So even if we are not happy with the works of government, then we can criticize the work of government, okay. Now friends, let's suppose that this is our country India, okay. So this entire red circle or this red diagram is our country India, okay. So now let's suppose that and this is government of India, okay. Now we know that government of India is doing many works. Government is introducing new laws. Government is introducing new policies. Okay. Now definitely some people are happy with the policies of government. Some people are happy with the laws which are introduced by the government, and some people are not happy with the laws which are introduced by the government or the policies or works of the government. Okay. Now for that we have Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause A, right to the freedom of speech and expression. Now it means that if you are not happy with the work of government, then you can criticize the government. If you are not happy with the work of government, then you can freely speak against the government. Okay. Now let's suppose okay, now there are many sections in a country, okay. For example, there can be many religious sections in the country, there can be many professional sections in the country, okay. Professional sections, for example, we can say the lawyers can represent one section of profession, doctors can represent one section of profession, farmers can represent one section of profession, okay. So there are many sections of profession also. Now definitely all these things are actually maintained by the government by different laws. For example, there must be some laws for regulating the affairs of lawyers, there must be some law relating to doctors also, there are some laws related to farmers also, okay. Now what happens that sometimes that particular section, okay, so now let's suppose this is some particular section of people, okay. So now let's name this section as A. Now you can think that this particular section can be religious section, means it is some religion. You can think this is some professional section, means this is a group of some professionals, okay. So now let's suppose that this is a group of this is a section in the in our country India, okay, and the name of this section is section A. Now what happened that the government of India has made some law, government of India has made some law for this section, okay, and many people are there in this section. Let's suppose we can say that 1 crore people are there in this section, okay. So this can represent one profession, this can represent one religion, this can represent one caste, this can represent other sections of Indian society also, okay. For example, you can say that section A represents the collection of all the lawyers of our country. You can also say that section A represents the collection of all the farmers of our country, okay. You can also say that section A represents the collection of all the people relating to some particular religion, okay. So you can think as per your convenience, okay. You can think as per your convenience. I am just assuming that this is some hypothetical section in the Indian society. Now what happened that government of India has made a law which is related to this section of the society, okay. So government of India has made a law and that law is related to this particular section of the society, and I told you that the population of this section is, let's suppose, 1 crore, okay. So there are 1 crore people in this section, okay. Now let's suppose what happened that the people of this section, they are not happy with the law of government, they are not happy with the policy of government. Now what these people can do to pressurize the government to change that law, what these people can do to oppose the government, okay. So friends, these people can write the articles in newspaper to criticize the government. These people can directly talk with government, they can have discussion with government, okay. Or if government is not listening to them, then they can peacefully, okay, quote this word, peacefully. If government is not listening to them, then they can peacefully protest against the government. Okay, for example, they can arrange for some type of rallies, they can arrange for some kind of processions. Okay, so what I mean to say that they can peacefully protest against the government. Okay, they can also go to court. Definitely, if court will give any judgment, then that judgment will be binding on government as well as on that section. Okay, so there are many ways in which these people have the right to oppose the government, in which these people have the right to protest against the government. Okay, and if government is not listening to them, if system is not listening to them, then they have to protest against the government peacefully. Now friends, let's suppose that these people protested against the government. Okay, now I told you that they have the right to peacefully protest against the government, they have the right to peacefully oppose the government. But now there are some people, okay, now there are some people who just do anything without thinking anything. Okay, means what happened, that some people of this section, they decided to pick the arms. Okay, they decided to pick the guns and they decided to oppose the government by using the guns. Okay, so what happened, that some people of this community, and we can say that the majority people of this community, okay, so majority of the people of this community agreed to oppose the government with the use of arms, with the use of guns. Okay, with the use of other these type of things. Okay, so now what these people will do, definitely these people will pick the guns against the police, these people will pick the guns against the army and the other state institutions. So now they do not have any this kind of right. This kind of right is not given to any individual under the Constitution of India. Okay, so you can protest against the government peacefully, but you cannot pick arms against the state, you cannot pick guns against the state. So if any section of citizens or if any section of individuals pick arms or pick guns against the government, then this will be called as armed rebellion. Armed rebellion basically means that now the people have picked the arms, now people have picked the guns, and by using the guns, by using the arms, they are opposing the government. Okay, they are doing violence. Okay, so we know that this country, the country India, is the country of Gandhi, it is the country of Mahatma Gandhi, and Mahatma Gandhi always promoted peace, they always promoted non-violence. Okay, and if you are doing violence, then government has the right to implement national emergency on the basis of armed rebellion. So this is the meaning of armed rebellion. So armed rebellion basically means that when a group of people, okay, when a group of people have picked the arms, when a group of people have picked the guns and they are protesting the government with the use of guns, they are doing violence. Okay, so this is totally wrong. People should not do this. People should not use guns. People should not do this. People should not use guns against the government. Okay, and if any group of people will use guns against the government, then government has the right to impose national emergency on the basis of armed rebellion. So this is the meaning of armed rebellion. Okay, so what is armed rebellion? So now you can say that, sir, if any group of people, or okay, if any group of people are protesting the government and if they have picked the guns against the government, if they are doing violence, if they have picked the guns, if they have picked the weapons and they are protesting the government with the use of weapons, then this will be called as armed rebellion, and this is not allowed under law, this is not allowed under the Constitution of India, and this is totally wrong. So now the government has the power to impose national emergency in the country. Okay, so now the government will impose the national emergency in the country, and as I have told you, so then government of India will become very, very powerful. Government will become extremely powerful, and then by using anything, government will control that situation and government will restore the normal situations in the country. So this is the meaning of war, external aggression and armed rebellion. Now friends, after this, the next question is that who has the power to proclaim national emergency? Or we can also say this like that, who proclaims national emergency? Okay, or who has the power to proclaim national emergency? So now let's try to answer this question. So what happens friends, that let's suppose, okay, so I have told you the three grounds on which the national emergency can be imposed. Okay, now let's suppose if the president of India is satisfied, okay, if the president of India is satisfied that the security of India, okay, what happens that the security of India is under threat, okay, or there is some imminent threat to the security of India, then president, okay, so what happens that if the president of India is satisfied that the security of India is under threat, okay, now this threat is due to, now this threat should be due to either war or external aggression, okay, or armed rebellion, okay. So what happens that if the president of India is satisfied that the security of India is under threat due to war, external aggression or armed rebellion, then president of India under article 352 of the Indian constitution can proclaim national emergency. Okay, so have you understood the process? So what is the process? So now I will explain you this process in more simple words. Okay, so let's suppose that if any other country has proclaimed war against India, okay, if any other country has proclaimed war against India, now definitely if any other country is proclaiming war against India, so now there is some threat to India, there is some threat to the security of India, okay. So now if the president of India is satisfied that there is some threat to the security of India due to the war proclaimed by this country, so then president of India can proclaim national emergency. Okay, now similarly friends, let's suppose what happened in the second situation, that any other country has attacked on India. So external aggression basically means that without any official announcement, without the proclamation of war, any other country has attacked India. Okay, so and now what happened that president came to hear this news that what happened that any other country has attacked India. Okay, now some conditions can happen. Now let's suppose that other country is very big. Okay, so let's suppose that other country is very big. So our soldiers on our army on the border has defeated the army of that country instantly. Okay, so what happened that other country was very big and our army, our soldiers defeated the army of that country or the soldiers of that country instantly. Okay, so now definitely there is no threat to the security of India, so now president will not declare any national emergency. But let's suppose that if any strong country, any very powerful country has attacked India, so now president knows that the security of India is now under threat. It is not very easy to defeat this country. It is not very easy to defeat this country in war. So now what president, okay, so now this means that president is satisfied that the security of India is under threat. So now president has the power to proclaim national emergency. Okay, similarly friends, if there is some armed rebellion in the country, now armed rebellion can be very strong or weak. Okay, so let's suppose if okay, so now let's suppose that 500 people are doing armed rebellion, so definitely government can easily suppress 500 people. It is not a very difficult task for the government to suppress 500 people. So now it means that the security of India is not under threat. Okay, now contrary to this view, now let's suppose that 5 lakh people are doing armed rebellion. Okay, and I have told you that armed rebellion is wrong. Armed rebellion is illegal. Armed rebellion is unconstitutional. It is also unethical. Okay, so if anybody will do armed rebellion, then government has the power to suppress them. Government has the power to proclaim national emergency to suppress that armed rebellion, because armed rebellion is a threat to our country. So if any people love their country, then they will never do armed rebellion. Okay, so because definitely the common people are also injured in armed rebellion. Okay, so what happens? So let's suppose if 5 lakh people did armed rebellion. Okay, so now definitely 5 lakh is a very big number, and now to control, it is very difficult to control these 5 lakh people. It is very difficult to suppress these 5 lakh people. Okay, so now definitely president can think that now the security of India is under threat, because as these people are doing armed rebellion, so they can kill other civilians also. They can kill those people also who are not the part of this rebellion. They can kill policemen, they can kill army men, and definitely policemen are also the citizens of our country. Okay, they can cause destroy, damage damage to the property, they can cause damage to life. Okay, so now if the president is satisfied that the security of India is under threat, then the president can declare national emergency under Article 352. So this is the meaning of this entire statement. Now friends, here you need to remember one more important thing, that President of India, okay, now I told you that President of India has the power to impose or to proclaim national emergency. Okay, so now many a times students ask that whether the national emergency is imposed on entire country at once, or it can be imposed on some specific part of India also. Okay, so what happens that, let's suppose if India is in war with some very strong country, with some any powerful country, okay, and there is a threat that this country can this country can cause threat, this country can harm any part of our country, then in this situation president can declare national emergency for entire country also. Okay, but let's suppose what happened that we know that there are many states in India. Okay, so let's suppose this is India. Okay, and this is one of the states of India. Now what happened that if armed rebellion happened in some parts of that state. Okay, so let's suppose in this part of the state armed rebellion happened. Okay, so now President of India can impose national emergency on this part also. Okay, so now what President of India will do? President of India will not impose the national emergency on entire country. President of India will impose the national emergency on the affected part only. Okay, so what does it mean? So it basically means that national emergency can be imposed throughout India or in a specific part of India also. So this is not a must that it should be imposed on entire India. It can be imposed on entire India, or it can be imposed on any specific part of India also. Now friends, in the previous classes I taught you one concept about the President of India, that there are two types of power of the president. Okay, the first powers which president enjoys on the recommendation, on the advice of Council of Ministers, and the second type of powers which are also called as discretionary powers of the president. Now what happens in this first type of powers, that president can use these powers only on the recommendation, only on the advice of Council of Ministers. But in the case of discretionary powers, what happens that president uses his own mind, and president by using his own mind uses those powers and does those functions. Okay, so now my question is that the imposition of national emergency is which type of power of president? So definitely this is first type of power. So it means that it is not the discretionary power of the President of India. President of India cannot impose national emergency on his own. Okay, so what happens that before the national emergency is proclaimed, a written recommendation must be given to the President of India by Union Cabinet. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that the Union Cabinet must give one written recommendation to the President of India to impose the national emergency in the country. And if Union Cabinet has given a written recommendation to the President of India, then only President can impose national emergency. Otherwise, President cannot impose national emergency. Okay. Now friends, here two things are highlighted. First thing is Union Cabinet. So Union Cabinet, okay, and the second thing is written recommendation. So written recommendation means here the oral recommendation will not work. Okay, so in the case of national emergency, oral recommendation will not work. Okay, so the cabinet ministers, the Union Cabinet will have to give in writing. Union Cabinet will have to give on paper to the President of India to impose the national emergency. Then only President of India will be able to impose national emergency. So friends, that's all for today. Now in the next class, we will discuss about other topics related to national emergency. For example, the approval of national emergency, the withdrawal of national emergency, consequences of national emergency, and other things. Okay. So friends, if you have enjoyed the lecture, then please like the video, comment, subscribe the channel, press the bell icon and select all. Now we will meet in next class. Till then, stay indoors, stay healthy, take care of yourself. Thank you.